Hey guys, it's Katie at scrappinkaty.ctmh.com, and I have a very basic coloring video to share with you today using our tri-blend markers. Okay, so I am going to show you how to color using our tri-blend markers and using the Miracle of Christmas Bring Back My Pack White Pines stamp set. I just love these animals, and I did a card for a blog hop, and I thought I would share with you how I color. Now, I am by no means an expert at coloring. I love to watch people color, and I have a love-hate relationship with coloring. So I thought I would show you what I've just kind of picked up. My best advice would be just to try. Kind of try what works for you. If you want to watch some videos, research some people who color, and of course there's all kinds of markers. I love the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend because all of your shades for your shading is all in this one marker. So you have a light side, a kind of a middle of the line color, and then the dark color. So I'm going to be using several of these. I am going to kind of do a no-line coloring effect. And what that means is I have inked up these images using Toffee ink versus black or something stark like that. And so the colors are just going to kind of blend together. Here's the card I'm talking about that I did for the blog hop. So you can see where they just kind of blend together. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm only going to do the bear, and I'm going to try not to speed anything up, and we'll see how it goes. And again, just research and kind of try your own thing. I've actually gone different ways as far as starting with the light end or the dark end. Right now, I'm in love with starting with the dark color first. So for this bear, I am using the red-brown color. I'll put that there. Hopefully you can see it. Maybe I should put it right there. And again, I'm going to start with the darkest end, and I am just going to go where I think shading would be. Now you can actually, there are methods to actually shade if you were to put a light source at one side of you, like if I had a light source over here to the right, then I would basically only add color where that light source created shade. I usually don't really have time to do all that. So I just mainly, if on this side I'm going at the top of his arm, I'm going to try to do that throughout. The scarf creates some shade, so when I go to do his belly, I'll also be adding some dark color there. I would think the inside of his leg and the bottom of his foot would kind of be a darker color. And then maybe the underside of his belly right here, and then the underside of, this belly. I would think, I know that my belly probably creates some shade. And so again, I am just adding those darker colors where I think it would go. As far as his head, again, I'm going to keep with the left side of his cheek and his head right there, and then the top of the scarf, but kind of thin it out when I get to the middle. I'm also going to do the same thing with his ear. Keep it on that left side. And then I am going to bring just a little bit up at the top of his head. And then probably right here where the scarf meets this right side of his head. And that is pretty much it for the dark color. So then now I'm going to switch to this mid. And again, I am going to go over what I already did on the dark. And that's the good thing about these markers, is when you go over a color, it actually blends it out a little bit. So I'm just going to bring out that shadow just a little bit with this mid color. Same thing with the ear. This time I'm going to want to bring out that color kind of more toward the right side of his ear. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to work on his arm. Again, I'm going over the dark spot or the darkest color that I've already colored, just to kind of blend these together just a little bit better. And you'll see it really come to life when you start using the lighter color. Again, I'm going to bring that mid color down and then go over this dark shadow with this mid color, and then bring it all the way to the edge of the foot. And then same thing, just kind of bring those out, and they blend really well with these markers. And then you can kind of round it. I don't know if you saw, but I kind of rounded it right there. That always kind of helps. I'm going to go right up to the edge of that scarf, and then same thing with this arm. I'm going to go over that darkest color that I've already done, and then just kind of bring out the color into the part of the arm that hasn't been colored yet. But I don't want to go all the way to the edge because I still have that lightest color to do. So I'm going to do this on his head. And on this one, I'm going to come down kind of to a peak. I don't want it to be really sharp. And then I'm going to go kind of half of his ear. And then same thing right here. I'm going to kind of round out this right side of his face. And I'm saying him. I guess it could be a girl bear. And then so now to bring everything kind of to light and kind of mesh all the colors together, you're going to do the light one. So same thing, I'm going to go over all of the colors that I've already done and then bring the color out. Now, because I am not using an alcohol safe ink pad, I just used Toffee ink. I did stamp these a couple of days ago, so that ink is really good and dry. But I still don't want to just color all over it. I kind of want to go around the edges. I don't know if you can see, you know, I'm not really going over that stamped image in the toffee. And then you just kind of bring it out. The more you color over the colors that have already been colored, the more it blends. So I'm going to finish his ear over here. And then again, kind of go over those middle, those eyebrows, eyelashes, and definitely his little cheeks. We're going to make those pink here in just a second. So the more you go over it, it kind of makes it where those lines aren't so harsh. So same thing with his arms. I want to go over these colors that I've already done, and then bring out this light color for the rest of his arm. And the good thing about these markers as well is that you can let them dry and then come back and do some more shading or blending, and it gives you a whole different look. So by the time I'm finished with him over here, we can probably start back up at the top. I kind of went out of the lines on his foot. This is why coloring, I have a love-hate relationship with coloring, is I don't do well. I don't do well coloring tiny spaces, so then I end up coloring outside the lines. And it's not just, you know, oh, you know, color outside the lines, be free. It's not that. It's if you are a follower, you know that when I fussy cut things out, I like to leave a border. So whereas I messed up right there, it's not going to be a clean border. But because this is no line coloring, it's almost better when they kind of have a fuzzy look to them. So you can see here, I'm just going over these spots just to kind of blend them a little bit more. And I'm loving how this is looking. So I think I'm done with the red brown. And then his tummy is going to be the fair skinned blend. And I think I only use the mid and the lighter color. And again, I want to create some shadow with this darker color. So I'm assuming there's probably some shadow cast underneath his scarf. In the middle, right here where the scarf tails meet. And then probably under this little belt or whatever he has on. Now this could be a shirt. You could probably color it different. I'm just gonna pretend it's his belly. So same thing as the red brown. I want to go over that mid color that I've already done. And then I just want to blend it out to the rest of his belly. And then there's just a tiny bit left under here to do. And so can you see how that just kind of created a shadow? And then we're going to do his scarf. I'm going to do the red part first. This is the dark red blend. And I am going to start with the dark. And I am going to, I messed up right there. So we're just going to make all of this red. Instead of, I was just going to make the lines in his scarf red and then make the tails the same green color that I'm going to do, but that didn't work. And so I don't know if you can see this, but it has a little eyelets almost in this little belt, and so I'm just coloring the center of those eyelets with this darkest dark red blend. So you can see those little eyelets. And now I'm going to go with that middle color. And again, I want to go over this darkest color that I've already done. And then I want to bring it out to the middle. And then I want to leave some so I can come back with the lighter color. Now, this little detail is just so small, I'm not going to go in with the bid. I'm only going to go in with that lightest color. And again, I'm going to go over all of this, and then I'm going to bring it out. And you really aren't going to be able to see it until later on when it dries. And it's just such a pretty, this is one of my favorite tri-blend markers, is this dark red. My eyes are crossing on me. It's time to change out my contacts, I think. And so right here, I am just going along with the scallop. And by doing that, I'm already going over that darkest color. So I'm done with that one. And then our last color, well, not our last, because we're going to do his nose, is the dull green. Again, I'm going to start with the dark, and I am going to go on just the edges of the scarf. So over here, I'm going to go right here where this tie would create a little bit of a shadow. I'm going to go right here just a little bit, and then right here just a little bit. You want to leave a space because remember, we want to go back over it with the mid color and that lighter color. And then I'm just going with the direction of the scarf. Even though it appears that all of this is just kind of muddled together, it really won't be. If you go along with the movement of the image, then you'll be surprised how that movement actually can be seen later after all your coloring. So this is that mid color, again, going over the darkest and then coming out a little bit, leaving some room for that lightest color later, and then bringing it down just a little bit into that uncolored spot. This one's going to be tight because there's just so little room. And then now we are going to go in with the lightest color. And again, go over all of this. And then remember, the reason why we go over it all is because these alcohol markers actually act as a blender. We even have just a blending marker that's just clear. And if you need to blend anything, sometimes you can erase the colors just depending on how dark they are with that blending pen or that blending marker. But if you'll go over all your spots with that lighter color of the marker that you're using, it actually blends it as well. So I want to do the same thing with this belt down here. This is going to be really quick. Again, I'm going to go in with the dark colors. There are 3 stripes, but I'm just going to treat them as one. And then I'm going to go in with the middle color, working it toward the center. And then I'm going to finish off with the lightest color, coloring over all of it. And you can even go down into that deep red to kind of blend things out. And that is pretty much it. As this bear dries, you can see on the back side, as this bear dries, those colors will kind of blend a little bit more. But you can see I did the same thing with the deer, and then the fox, I just used a lighter color. I used the muted brown on the fox. But as far as the pink cheeks and the red and the green, those are all these same colors. And I'll leave those colors linked down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Again, my best advice to you is just find some people on YouTube, just start watching what they do, and then just start playing. Again, my favorite marker, especially for beginners, is the Tri-Blend marker. It's not a cheap marker, but if you really think about it, you're getting 3 markers in one. And so it definitely beats some of the other marker prices out there. I'll leave links down to the white pines down below, as well as all the markers that I used, and a link down to the blog where I have shown this card, as well as you'll find links to some other Close to My Heart makers and what they've made for the Christmas in July blog hop. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you liked what you saw, please leave me a comment and a thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber, please consider hitting the subscribe button and sign up for notifications so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video.